Well, if I'm just going to go at it, I mean, a lot of these have been about, telling stories and just, hey, this is a thing that happened this one time, this thing in the desert. Most of my really good stories are actually in this book that I wrote, and I feel the need to tell them less and less ever since that happened. They're there, they're recorded, and instead, yeah, that's the book.
This
That is,
book that I
yep.
happen to have right at my arm's reach for some reason.
It's,
I have to go get mine.
Oh no, it's really.
We're just gonna throw it in the barrel to keep this fire going, Caveat.
Oh Jesus!
Everybody drink.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think what is more of the moment than that is the fact that it has become pretty clear to me, and probably to everyone else. Thank you, Preamble. That am I the only one who doesn't have a copy of my book and read? Yeah, let's just keep doing that as I talk. That's great. That we really don't have a fucking clue how to do Burning Man the way we think of Burning Man, the way we think of burning on a cultural scale at this moment in time, and that it to say that it's a unique challenge is obvious. And hello, Case Cat, and to say that we shouldn't feel badly about that. I mean, absolutely, but it seems like we're all trying to do a thing, having not yet figured out how we do it. And I'm in the same boat, but I think we start by just admitting, okay, we don't have this, and that what we are doing now is a combination of flailing around and careful experimentation, and that this is a moment to pay attention and learn things from. What I have seen happening so far is that there's been the initial rush, and I think this was way too hurried, frankly, on a lot of people's parts, was to announce that we were going to do something big, and that there would be something big and massive that would be part of this, that would epitomize this. And other people's experiments have demonstrated that it is possible to do something on a large scale that resembles a part of Burning Man successfully. I'm thinking mainly about mass dance parties. I'm thinking about Club Quarantine. I'm thinking about the decentralized dance party. They are doing mass visual and dance events that are not my thing, but that people whose opinions that I trust and who I respect are saying, no, I'm getting something out of this. This is good for me. So, okay, great. That aspect of it can be done to at least some extent. But of course, I think anyone around this particular burn barrel has long thought that, of course, Burning Man is not just a giant dance party. Of course, we have struggled against the notion that we are simply a rave in the desert. The fact that mass dance parties can be done well is terrific, and genuinely a sign of hope, even though it is not my thing. But the rest of it, where do we come in for that? What do we do with that? And I've seen a lot of people do experiments, and I'm grateful for all of them. But I have learned from all of them, but I have not yet seen any evidence that the kind of thing that we think of when we think of as Black Rock City is yet replicable on that mass kind of scale. And in fact, I can say, I think pretty definitively, that everything that I have seen or everything that I have done that has been successful in this regard has been small scale almost to the point of intimate. I have, to at least my satisfaction, been able to produce and throw a number of events that have captured that magic. None of them have had more than, I think, 15 people active at any given time. And all of them have done things that are not immediately associated with the Burning Man experience a la Black Rock City. But I think if we want to pursue our historical precedents a bit, they might be more associated with the Cacophony Society or the Suicide Club, both of which did that kind of thing. And so I think there are a series of initial best practices that we can build off of, things that we can learn from, not as prescriptions, not, you have to do this, but as this seems to work, and maybe your experiments will take it and will give us something more. We'll add to that slowly emerging body of knowledge. And I suspect that over time we could come up with things that would work that way on scale, but we don't have it now. We don't have it yet. And that's where I'm starting from. That's the point that is consistently and constantly on my mind at this point in time.
I think you've
So
really,
caveat, go ahead.
I think you really nailed it with some of the things that you've been doing on the like little wheel of Zoom and the bar. And I think you really nailed it when you said part of what needs to be incorporated in this element of like what makes Burning Man or Burning Man culture is an element of discomfort and risk.
Yeah.
That, like, you know, we were on Wheel of Zoom last weekend, and the just fear everybody has about spinning the wheel to see what it is you have to do. That's like, oh God, I hope I don't have to write a haiku, or oh my God, I hope that I don't have to do an interpretive dance about Squishell's hat, or, you know, and then you have to do it. You have to push through that, where I think online dance parties and, you know, even the bar that I help run are really easy, casual things to do. There needs to be that thing that pushes you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, I've found that pretty consistently. And it's not to say that there's no value in events that don't do that. Quite the contrary. I mean, you know, the
Sure.
crash bar that you're running, Kay, is terrific. But as sort of an attempt to capture that, oh, this is an experience that you would go to Burning Man for, I have found consistently that something needs not only to be risked by the participants involved, but asked of them. Here is a way that you are contributing. Here is a way that you are engaging. We are asking you to do something unusual here, to step out of your comfort zone, and taking a risk is part of that. And that this, in Black Rock City, I think a lot of these things are low-hanging fruit because you've done so much of the work already just by getting there. You have already taken an enormous risk simply in the process of going to Black Rock City. I mean, we have a survival guide for a reason. You're
Right.
going to an environment where you really don't know what's going to happen, except some of it will be disastrous. Your risks are already in there and baked in. And so simply the act of going up and saying, oh, you're serving lemonade, can I have some? is a weirdly risk-laden activity. Or at least the whole thing is boundary pushing. Much has been asked of you. Much has been asked of you simply to get you there, especially if you are bringing your own art piece, especially if you're bringing your own experience and contributing. That is something that does not happen naturally in these distance events, and so it is something that I think we have to go out of our way to do, or at least that's what I've found. I want to emphasize again that everything I talk about as a design element is what I have found to be a best practice so far. It is an emerging body of knowledge, and I would love for people to come up with things that prove me wrong, or come up with things that I haven't thought of yet. I'm not laying down essentials. I'm saying this is what I've got that's helpful.
Well, I think also to add to that, and Liz just pointed this out, thank you, Liz, is the element of serendipity, playa magic, or playa dippity, as now Kay has donned it. I've not heard that before, so.
Really?
Yeah, no, playa dippity.
Yep.
Yippee-ki-yay. Yeah, I mean, there's an element of you know, spontaneity, serendipity, all of that I do think is sometimes hard to cultivate in this kind of an environment. It's not to say that you can't form connections and find things out through people that you wouldn't otherwise have if you were trying to send an email or a text message. Certainly, I think the visual elements help, but yeah, I'm curious because I do feel like that's another area that is really, really hard to replicate. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I've found that is necessary to do that, which goes absolutely against the grain of internet culture, and I think this is something that we really have to understand, is that when we go to the desert, we have developed the culture that came out of that. There was no existent culture there when people first went to Black Rock, to the Black Rock Desert to do the Burning Man on zone trip number, was it 4, I think?
4.
Yeah. You know, they were like, what the hell do we do? Oh my God, they had to invent everything. We come to the internet with all kinds of existing habits. It's not a tabula rasa. It's not a blank slate. And our habits, without even knowing it, is to do our Burning Man events on the internet like they're the internet. And that is something that really, I think, has to be noticed and resisted. And so one of the things about that is that on the internet, what do? You browse, you click, you have a low, your attention span is very low. You know, oh, do I like this? I don't know. Let me try this. You hop around. All of the events that I have created or participated in that have come up with that serendipity have required long stays, at least an hour, usually 2, often more. But it's when you have that commitment and that engagement, and you're really going at that level, putting that time and attention in a sustained way with people, that suddenly the serendipities emerge. That suddenly you have moments like at the Existentialists Anonymous Art Bar, where somebody gives a prompt that has nothing to do with swords and daggers, but all the art that is individually created about it has swords or daggers in it. It's like, whoa, what just happened here? Where did this come from? Or one of my all-time favorite moments was at the second Wheel of Zoom experiment that we did, where late in the night, we were like 5 hours in, and suddenly, I don't even remember how it started, but somebody just says, it wasn't even a part of the wheel, it wasn't anything. Somebody just said, I have a poem I need to share with you.
Oh, that was me.
That was you, that was Kay. And Kay just wanted to share this poem that had, Kay's not so much a poetry person, but there was this poem that had kicked her ass, that she'd always stayed with her, and now for whatever reason she was inspired to share it. And then somebody else says, oh, I've got a poem like that in my life. And suddenly, without any rules, without any instruction, without any intention to do it, everyone around was saying, oh, well, here's the poem that kicked my ass in life, that has stayed with me all this time. And we were sharing it with each other after all this whimsy and fun. It just happened. It just emerged. And it was pure, uncut Burning Man. It was so magical and amazing. But it took us almost 5 hours of intense play to reach that point. And so, yeah, I think it is possible to do that, but it doesn't happen nearly as easily. You have to create the conditions out of which it can emerge, and those are not standard internet conditions.